This morning, Kimberly-Clark, which you know is the maker of Kleenex, Huggies, Cottonelle, all sorts of other paper products, now said it's buying Kenvue. That's J&J's old over-the-counter business for just over $40 billion. Now, you know Kenvue is Tylenol, Neutrogena, Listerine, Band-Aids, Benadryl, and, of course, Johnson's, among a host of other brands. Kimberly's paying a 46% premium to create the second largest consumer packaged goods company on earth. Second, keep that in mind. But Wall Street's skeptical about the deal. Stock plunged more than 14% today in response, falling to its lowest level since 2018. It was not a surprise, though. So what's the argument for this takeover? Let's go straight to the source with Mike Hsu. He's the chairman and CEO of Kimberly-Clark to find out. Mr. Hsu, welcome back to Mad Money.
Jim, thanks for having me on today.
Okay, so Mike, why don't you give us the rationale? I know you and I talked before, and you know how much I like the deal, but I want other people to know how significant it really is.
Yeah, Jim, we're really excited today. This may be the second most important day in our company's history. Of course, Founders Day is the most important. But this is really about two great, iconic American companies joining forces to create what we think is the preeminent global health and wellness leader. And so that's really what we're trying to build.
Now, you've got two kinds of synergies. It's a good word, but you've got both cost synergies and revenue synergies. Can you explain what both will mean? Because I think at the heart of this deal is the idea that you can boost revenues and cut costs.
Yeah. Well, here, what I'll say, Jim, is I think this is probably the single largest shareholder value creation opportunity that I'll ever experience in my career, right? And so, we think there's tens of billions in value creation opportunity, of which a lot of that is driven by the synergies that you're asking about. Certainly on the cost side, I think the history is, we, having operated in lower margin categories, we run very, very lean. And so generally our overhead costs tend to be in the top quartile of the industry. I think Kenvue, in our discussions with their management, coming out of a higher margin pharma business, their costs are a little bit higher. And so we really believe that, we can operate efficiently with the cost structure that we have, and we can get Kenvue closer to our cost structure and operate effectively as well.
At the same time, what I thought, the thing that I felt most attractive was, in a bizarre way, you're best in certain parts of the world and they're best in others, and they tend to be a perfect fit.
Yeah, some directors would say the unique feature of this transaction is the complementarity of both the category portfolio and the geographic portfolio. And what I mean category is, hey, if you think baby, like we're coming at baby from two ends. We make diapers, they make Desinix and baby shampoo and baby lotion, Aveeno Baby. So, we've invested a lot of effort to create a long-term digital relationship with consumers. And we think it's a pretty unique competitive advantage for us. We think there's an opportunity to bring other brands along that ride, along that journey.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
On the geographic side, also, they happen to be, as you just mentioned, really strong in markets where we've struggled to drive penetration. That would be India, where they have a very big business. They're in 3.1 million stores in India, and we've had a tough time building that brick and mortar penetration. They're really big in Western Europe, multi-billion-dollar business there, and we have almost no sales in Western Europe.
Well, I mean, Procter had won, so you had thrown up the white flag. I remember when that happened. We all cheered, but that's not what you can do now. You need every inch.
Well, they have great distribution in Western Europe. They're especially strong in the pharma channel, which matters in our categories as well. They're great in the medical channels as well, and so we think there's a great opportunity to kind of expand there.
All right.
And then on our side, we are strong in markets like Indonesia, South Korea, Mexico, and where they're more lightly penetrated. And so we really think there's a big growth opportunity.
Now, do you want to get to the reservations that people expressed here? But there was one that I met Kenvue almost instantly when they were spun off. They're very nice people, and they're from Summit, where I live. But what struck me is I asked them what their club strategy was and their internet strategy was. Mm-hmm. And they didn't have one for either, which shocked me and made me say, I got to tell people to stop, sell this stock.
Yeah.
You have tremendous in both cases. Yeah. Isn't that just a great opportunity for you, both club and internet?
Channel development globally, huge opportunity for both companies, or for both of us together. We tend to be very strong in both the channels that you talk about, certainly in club in the United States. Yeah. Globally, though, I would say online sales is accounting for 100% of our growth in North America this year, right? And it's because we're relatively overshared.
I was surprised no one else asked that, but they don't know the companies as well as they should, Mike.
Our online shares are 7 points higher, 700 basis points higher than our offline shares, and so we've made a big investment to develop great relationships, a great offering, and then great. Interesting for the retailers, what they love about us is our data analytical capability. And that's what we're really good at.
Second to none. Okay, so now, the first thing I heard from people was, okay, look, they don't really understand what they're buying when they get to Tylenol. They've got a Health and Human Services Secretary against them. They have an FDA administrator who says, listen, there's conclusive data.
Yep.
They have women who are pregnant who, if anything goes wrong, they are naturally able to sue you and win, as we know that, unfortunately, it's so tragic. They will win if they sue. Now, all of these things you went through, and yet you still went through with this.
Yeah, certainly those concerns are reasonable for anyone. I will say they came out in the middle of our detailed due diligence process, and I would say we conducted a very robust due diligence process. I would say our board ensured that we brought them analysis from the world's foremost experts in regulatory affairs, science, medicine, and the legal aspects. And so, we've met several times as a board, plowing through every one of those areas and a lot of the cases. And so what I would say, Jim, is, we're aware of the situation, very aware of the situation, and we're very confident that we will create, great shareholder value through this transaction.
Now, at the same time, Texas filed a suit, which was a threatening suit, saying that Johnson & Johnson tried to get around its obligations and by offloading Kenvue, whom they knew had all these problems. Again, I presume that they'll just loop you in now.
Yeah, we're well aware of that too, and we are a proud Texas company, and so we're aware of that situation, and we're prepared to work through that.
Now, J&J gave the international talc claims to Kenvue. I know the legal system is different internationally in terms of jackpot justice, but what did you come up with about the possibilities of having to fight all these different lawsuits individually rather than settle? And what do you think, when you discuss it with your board, is the liability here?
Yeah. Similarly, we conducted a detailed analysis of the UK talc situation, as that also came up during the due diligence process. And so we're well aware of that and have factored that into our thinking as well.
How have sales been for Tylenol since RFK Jr. got his job?
I'd say they have seen a little bit of impact, but less than you would think. And so I think the brand has been very resilient. It is, even today, while I'm still getting into it, so I'm no expert on Tylenol, but I'm told it's a very effective and safe pain reliever. And so I think the consumers respond accordingly.
Johnson & Johnson is, after trying to work with the plaintiffs' bar repeatedly for years in a reasonable fashion, decided to heck with it. We're going to fight them one by one. It has been working. Their stock went up $40 since they've done that. Would you be willing to say, you know what, we're not going to get rolled. We've looked at the science. We know there's no problems. We're not saying come and get us, but we are saying it won't be so easy for you to make money from us.
Well, and again, we are one step further removed. But we've met intensively during the due diligence process with Kirk and the leadership team at Kenvue, and we reviewed some documentation. We'd say, hey, the science is sound, and we've gotten that from our external experts as well. And so, while I won't really discuss maybe the legal strategy, but I would say, hey, we're confident in the approach, and we believe in this.
Well, there's no doubt that it's been tried many times before and found, and the plaintiffs' bar has not had great luck because it's the state of play was that it was over. It's just been resurrected because of this acquisition. Yeah. Now, tell me about. I'm sorry.
Can I just say though, coming from the company we come from, we're very, our focus, we're entrusted with like parents' most precious thing in the world, which is their baby. And so throughout our history, we've always been fully focused on taking care of our consumers. And so we would never put profits or sales ahead of the safety of our consumers. And so, I just wanted to assure you of that.
Of course. Now, Mike, I know that there have been a time, maybe in the previous administration, where two large consumer packaged goods companies getting together might have a tremendous antitrust scrutiny. Do you think that this administration might just say, you know what, you need to have a powerful competitor, Procter & Gamble, which is the way that a lot of people feel that ultimately the Google suit came down, even though that was from a judge?
Yeah. Well, I think this transaction, in addition to the big value creation, is really about two great, iconic American companies coming together creating a better future for the consumers that we serve, the employees that make us, the communities that we operate in, the partners that we work with, and the shareholders that own us. And so that's what we're really focused on. And I'm hopeful and believe that the administration across multiple countries will recognize that.
Okay, now you've got some fantastic billion-dollar brands. We've got 10 of them. Do you think there's a possibility of 15, 20, or do you want to just make these even bigger? Maybe the strategy should have each of these be much larger because the names are known throughout the world.
Yeah, fantastic portfolio of brands. I guess I have high aspirations, so I would want to make these bigger and add more. And that's kind of what the strategy is going to dictate. And we think there's tremendous growth opportunity ahead for us.
Do you think the consumer is willing to pay for brand names still, or do they want to go for, as you know well, because you've looked at it very closely, they want Kirkland's Signature, or do they want these brand names that we know from our parents and grandparents? Here's
what's interesting. This is a challenging economy, and I think you've heard whatever phrase, barbell economy, bifurcation, whatever it is. We posted a fairly strong third quarter, Jim, and I think what drove that, and we had volume mix growth. That's our 7th consecutive quarter of volume mix, solid volume mix growth. I think what's driving that is, one, on the premium end, we continue to bring great innovation, and consumers that have the spending power are continuing to invest in better for you products, better products, right? At the same time, we saw this change in the environment, especially in the U.S., coming 2 years ago. And so when you saw the stimulus payments running out, and then the impact of some of the inflation that's happening to consumers, we recognized that spending power is going to be more limited. And so what we did was we aggressively moved to bring a lot of the benefits that we have in our premium tiers into our value tiers, and that's why we're growing this year. Notably, in the U.S., in our medium tier diaper, Snug and Dry on Huggies, and in our mid tier in China.
Right. But the innovation that you've brought has made it, I felt, so that they're not equal. The generic is simply not equal because of the of what you've been able to do in terms of absorption.
Yeah.
What you've been able to do in terms of things that people, as they get older, are somewhat embarrassed. Could be embarrassed.
Yeah. Whether you talk about, let's say, your generics, right, or low cost value players, and like in China, there's a lot of low-cost Chinese brands out there. Our approach, and it's the mantra, which is we are the best product, and we're going to have the lowest cost. And so we want both those, and I think that strategy is working for us.
I think that's going to be something that Kenvue very much needs, and I know you're the man to do it. I want to thank Mike Hsu, the chairman and CEO of Kimberly-Clark, Kenvue. And yes, I think this is a terrific deal because you're getting the growth you need. And as far as the lawsuits go, I've looked at them very closely, too. It's kind of been litigated, and you can ask the people from J&J, and I think they'd say the same thing. Their money's back into the market.